going to do this review of the S22 Ultra a little bit different because there is so much to cover. So instead of telling you the specs, I will talk about my experiences with the phone while I show you the specs on screen, and you can skip to the specific chapter that you want to watch using the chapter markers in the video. I have worked so hard to put this review together. I have spent a solid month and a half playing with the new Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. I still don't think this is the perfect Android phone. It's close, but it's not quite there. There's a few hiccups that I did experience, but overall, I'm not hypercritical and I'm not feeling hypercritical, and I do love it overall, so this is a great phone. Now, if you're like me and you like Android reviews and tutorials, subscribe for more, and a big shout out to my newest s'mores, Ben, Amber, and Ray. Thank you so much for the support and for making this video possible via Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. So I bought this phone for about $250 after my $700 trade-in credit for my S21 Ultra, which I reviewed last year. I also had the Samsung Shop app 7.5% discount, and I did have some rewards that I had also racked up to redeem. By the way, if you like discounts, I do have a pretty sweet discount code. It's 5% off for any new Samsung customers, so hit up my referral link in the coupon code down below. You can even use that on Samsung's website for stuff like TVs and appliances or whatever. So you can definitely save some really good money. So normally this phone retails for $1199.99 and it goes up to $1599.99 for the 1TB model. I am starting to see some discounts on it though, so don't pay full price when you don't have to. The pre-order process for this phone was a freaking headache because one, the Shop app was not automatically adding the 7.5% discount like it should have, and that's a $50 difference, so I definitely wanted that discount. And two, the checkout screen was constantly removing items or throwing up errors or saying things were out of stock and then back in stock. It made me feel like Samsung did not want my money, and I hope that they fix those problems for future major releases because I almost just didn't buy one at all. The major reason I bought it was to review it, but if I did not have this job, if I didn't need one for a review, I would have just said F it and given up. So the one I have here in hand is the Phantom white color, and yes, that is a sticker covering up my IMEI. I don't know why they print the IMEI on the back of Samsung phones, but they do, so I'm covering it up with a sticker. It is available in a slew of other colors as well on their website. None of them really piqued my interest except for this white color, so I went with the one that would complement my usual choices of accessories. Disappointingly, the violet and the pink gold colors are only available for the smaller phone models. Now, hopefully one day we will start seeing some more diversity in terms of color choices for the top tier flagship Ultra phones instead of just your basics like white, black, blue, green, and red, which is what we usually would see. Now, even though it's not crazy shiny, the design is Corning Gorilla Glass Victus on the back, but it's matte and it has a kind of soft touch to it, and it looks really velvety smooth. It doesn't pick up fingerprints or oils from your hands, so it keeps it looking really nice and new. But the frame is aluminum and it does pick up fingerprints really easily. You can see how shiny it is in the video. Also, you can immediately tell that this thing is a rectangle. The corners are not super curved, though the display is definitely curved. But that means that you have these really angular edges that can make it kind of annoying to hold because it's going to dig into your palm like it is right now. This is how I naturally hold my phone, and I did notice that this corner would dig into my palm quite often. Now, I did add a case. This is the Velvet Caviar case. It does add a little bit of curvature and a little bit of softness to that edge, and that does help whenever I'm holding it, but it is still a big phone, so keep that in mind. It's larger than my Pixel 6 Pro. It's also on the heavier side of phones. It's a little over 8 ounces. I hate the placement of this one speaker on the bottom. It's on the left side, so that also means my palm often covers it up. The second speaker is at the top of the phone, and that one fires forward. Port placement is generally the same as previous gens, not much to say there. It is still IP68, so I was able to use this at the top of a ski slope while it was snowing, and I was not worried about getting snow into the ports. The cool thing about this design is even though the S21 Ultra supported an S Pen, which was nice, It was not built in, so it was not easily accessible day to day unless you bought a bulky case for it. But on the other hand, the S22 Ultra does have the S Pen built in, and it's also IP68. Now the S Pen is so much fun to use, and it actually has a very similar GUI as other phones with the S Pen capabilities. So if you've already used a Fold or the S21 Ultra or the previous Note generations, then you will already know how to use the S Pen. It's quite easy. You can easily click it in and out of its port to use it. It has a built-in battery which you will likely never run low, and it will make noise and vibrate if you happen to leave it behind. Like if you're leaving a coffee shop, you take your phone but you leave this on the desk, it will make noise for you so that you know that you left it behind. I like that I can use it to write out text. It also makes video and photo editing really precise in apps like Adobe Rush or Mix, and I love the display. It is really, really beautiful on this phone. They did a great job. It is super bright outside, which makes it very easy to see on a sunny day. It also gets quite dim for nighttime use. The display is big though, so it's kind of bulky for one-handed use, but there is a one-handed mode in case you prefer to use it that way. If I jump from my iPhone 12 Pro Max to this phone, the S22 Ultra is so fast. It really shows off its higher refresh rate, and it is super smooth. Watching HDR content on here on Netflix looks beautiful, and it is easy for me to critique my own content creation on this screen because it is high quality and it is a large screen. So it's easy for me to find any kind of errors as I'm using Photoshop or Adobe Rush for my videos. Now, all of those super fun customizations, like the border actions for the always-on notification screen, those are all there as expected, and that also makes using the Samsung One UI a very unique experience compared to other Android phones. It does come with Android 12 with One UI 4, and since release it has had several different updates to the Google Play system, the operating system, as well as security patches. So if you're just now buying one, make sure to check out all those updates because I'm sure that there's going to be some available. Coming from Android 12 on Pixel, the Samsung software is a bit annoying, and that's just a personal taste for myself. For example, I turn off Samsung Pay when you swipe up because I prefer to swipe up to get to my home screen whenever I'm in an app. I also prefer swiping up to get to my app drawer as well, so I just turned off and disabled Samsung Pay. I dislike Bixby, and generally I never use it, so I immediately switch everything that I can to Google's Assistant. I also prefer Google News whenever I swipe over from the left side, over Samsung Free, which I don't like as much. I don't feel like Samsung Free is as good at understanding what I want to see and providing me the kind of content that I would prefer. So there is lots to edit, lots to customize, lots of time in the system settings to ensure that the phone is set up with my preferences. The edge panels over on the side are fun to use. They make quickly accessing apps super easy. One of my main critiques though is with the operating system in general. It's a fast phone with this upgraded Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. It also has 12 gigs of RAM if you get the 256 gig model, but sometimes apps still crash. Like Instagram randomly closed on me one day while I was posting a photo, and then I had to re-edit the entire process of posting that photo. The camera shutter speed is pretty slow, so it's incredibly tough to get a decent photo of my dog whenever I'm using the general auto settings in the camera app. Now, I can hold down the shutter button to take a burst of photos, and I generally have to switch to that if I'm planning to take pictures of my pets. I don't do a lot of mobile gaming, but to test the graphical rendering and power, I did run 3D Mark tests, and I got great results at the very top of the list when compared to other phones on the market. The ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is really, really good. It's fast, it's efficient, it works every time. I don't have a screen protector on here, so I will test it more once I do install one because I do intend to. It is much, much better than the sensor in the Pixel 6 screen, and if you do want a deep dive into the differences and why I love ultrasonic, because I definitely do, check out my video all about security and reliability of different kinds of sensors, which is linked, should be right up there. Hopefully I remember to put it up there. If not, it's in the description down below as well. They also have 2D face lock, which as you can see, I did not just use my fingerprint, I just unlocked it with 2D face lock. It's quite quick, so it's really easy to unlock your phone with the face unlock. That's included in the front-facing camera. It's also fast and reliable and super useful whenever, I'm gonna give that example of skiing again. I was at the top of a ski slope and I was wearing gloves. We still have snow in the mountains, and here's your proof. I did take a picture. It was really cool. The audio from the speakers could be better. I listen to a lot of YouTube videos, podcasts, music while I work in my studio. I immediately noticed that the Pixel 6 Pro has way more bass and a much more fuller sound than the S22 Ultra's speakers. The S22 Ultra sounds kind of tinny and flat. It does come with Dolby Atmos built in, and you can find that in the settings, and you can mess around with your equalizer settings to make it sound better. But out of the box though, I definitely feel like most users won't even realize that those options are there, or they won't want to mess around with that. They will just leave it as default. I also noticed that the levels were different between the two speakers, with the bottom one being louder than the top one. Obviously, there is no headphone jack, there never is these days, but Bluetooth 5.2 is excellent, and I had no issues connecting or listening to music or calling people whenever I was using my Samsung Galaxy earbuds. Now, one perk that I continue to love with the Samsung phones is the fact that I can use wireless power share like previous gens to charge my wireless earbuds on the back of the phone. It also supports fast wireless charging 2.0 via the WPC certified wireless charging, which also works with Qi, so this will work on any Qi chargers that you want. Should you buy a 45-watt wired charger for this phone? I would say probably not. If you watched my comparison between this and the S21 Ultra, you know that the difference in the speed of charging between 45-watt adapters and something lower, like 25-watt adapters, is honestly really minimal. It's only a few minutes. So that difference does not make the cost justified, in my opinion, if you wanted to buy a faster charger. But the battery lasts a really good long time for me. I can easily use this phone all day without putting it on the charger, and that's a huge thing for me as well. Now let's talk about 5G. It is great. Obviously, this will vary depending on your location, physical barriers, your cell carrier of choice, but these are my speeds here in downtown Denver, and that's quite adequate. And lastly, let's talk about these cameras on the back here, all of these beautiful cameras. So here are the specs for the back lenses. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read all of them at your own pace. Samsung does a great job with their zoom quality, with the super zoom that can go up to 100 times digitally, 10 times optical. So for example, there's this TP-Link router, which I totally did not hack at this coffee shop, even though it's just sitting out where anybody can pick it up. This is going from ultra wide all the way to 100 times zoom. Now my friend has an iPhone 13, so I compared the zoom quality at 15 times, which is the highest that he could go in zoom on his iPhone, to my S22 Ultra at 15 times zoom. And the S22 Ultra is so much more clear, so much more easy to read. Trying to take a photo of the mountains though, with zoom, still amounts in a very grainy potato of a photo, but something with striking contrast, like this router with its black text, seems much easier for the phone to compute and generate a cleaner photo. Samsung definitely made upgrades to their aperture and the sensor, so nighttime photos are better, but still not as good as my Pixel. They are still somewhat dark and grainy. Ultra wide is great, but it does have some lens distortion around the edges. It has that fishbowl thing going on. Whenever you're taking photos of a flat surface, it's definitely noticeable. I love all the fun little camera app features like portrait photography and food photography. I really had a lot of fun with the food photography. The food settings give you some really beautiful photos of well, your food. You get vibrant colors, you get clear, beautiful bokeh around the edges of the frame. I would say it's very artsy. Portraits are kind of hit or miss. I find myself rarely choosing the portrait mode over normal mode just because half the time the subject cutout is kind of messy. For regular photos, they are very clear. They're really lovely. I think the colors look great, though I would say they're more vibrant than more accurate to real life. I do end up with lots of blurry photos from the movement of a subject. I gave that example of taking pictures of pets earlier. The shutter, again, is noticeably slower than my Pixel. That's definitely obvious when you're taking pictures of animals. And if anybody out there has kids, you probably can relate to this as well. So in this case, burst mode would be my huge pro tip because this will save you from getting a bunch of disappointing blurry photos. The front-facing camera is very good for selfies and group photos. Blues in the sky are definitely saturated, but if you have a bunch of backlighting, it does a good job of lighting the focus of the photo as well. Being able to do a wide-angle photo with the front-facing camera is such a blessing when taking group photos. Everybody looks really clear, nobody's out of focus. The colors are saturated for sure. Again, I turned off the beauty mode so I could see how detailed this lens gets, and it's very good at keeping details like the flyaway hairs next to my face, or the little bubbles in this glass of beer. And now I want a beer, so I guess it's a good thing I'm recording this on a Friday. In terms of videos, the portrait video feature is really cool. It did way better than my expectations. So here are some more examples of video on the S22 Ultra, both front and back cameras. Pay close attention to how the ISO auto changes depending on the lighting, and also how the audio sounds compared to my in-studio audio.
Oh, it's glittery! Oh my gosh, that's so cool!
Look, I found a flower.
How are you?
Hi, friend.
How's it going?
Okay, bye. Oh my god, you're so cute.
You are most precious.
Hi, baby.
Hello.
All right, here we have 10 times zoom, Rocky Mountain National Park.
All right, and then just do a funny one. Yeah. That's good stuff. Okay.
On a Sunday in the fucking cold to see tonight. We freezing together, motherfuckers, ain't we? My ears are cold as fuck. When you take fear out of the equation, oh man, it's nothing but bliss, baby.
So all in all, I would say this is a lovely, fully fledged flagship phone. My main concerns with the square design, the speakers, those are personal tastes and critiques, not deal killers for everybody. I like the curvature of the display, but again, others may not like that. The operating system will hopefully continue to see updates to fix those little random crashes that I've experienced, but even those are somewhat rare and they don't happen every day, so it's generally a very, very good experience. Having the S Pen is such a blessing as a content creator. It makes accuracy of my edits so much easier and so much faster. So I have to say I love this phone. It's definitely going to be a contender for my favorite phone of 2022, and if you want a flagship, you should consider this one.